It's an area of Toronto that feels tucked away, as if it's a village itself. And in some ways, it has been. Today, we're talking about the history of Roncesvalles Avenue. Roncesvalles to the north starts at the very odd intersection of Dundas West, just south of Bloor. The intersection for over 100 years has remained remarkably similar, although the bank has changed. At one point even being Mr. Pinky's hefty hideaway in the 2007 John Travolta film, Hairspray. Today, the building is now a Starbucks. On the south side, Roncesvalles begins at another odd intersection, King, Queen, and Roncesvalles, at the beginning of the Queensway. An intersection that has also maintained, at least visually, a similar layout for over a century. In fact, if you walk or drive down Roncesvalles today, the architecture and layout is remarkably similar to that of a century ago, unlike many other Toronto neighborhoods. Let me briefly digress. If you're interested in learning more about Toronto history, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit the like button, hit that little bell thing, and check back all the time. Roncesvalles, sometimes called Roncesvalles Village, is arguably the neighborhood east of High Park, south of Bloor, north of the lake, and west of Lansdowne. The area was at one point known as Howard Park, being part of both Brockton and Parkdale villages, before being annexed by the City of Toronto in the 1880s. In fact, here is a photo showing Parkdale Taxi on Roncesvalles, around 1915. If you look at this 1852 map of Toronto, you won't even find the area. It was viewed as distant from the city. If you take a look at this 1902 map, you can see that the street names are close to their current state, with some minor exceptions. Maple Street now being Neepawa, named after the small Manitoba town here, as well as College Street being renamed, and others. The name Roncesvalles is credited to Colonel Walter O'Hara, a British soldier who emigrated to Canada in the early 1800s before participating in the rebellions of 1837. Roncesvalles is named after here, Roncesvalles Gorge in Spain, where O'Hara led a regiment against Napoleon's army during the Battle of Roncesvalles at the very beginning of the 19th century. The land around Roncesvalles Village had its origins as a trail route for Indigenous peoples, and later as farm lots doled out to influential Toronto families. In 1850, Colonel O'Hara took over most of the land in the area, many of the streets named after things in his life. Fermanagh Avenue, after the county of his birth in Ireland. Sororan Avenue, named after the Battle of Sororan in the Pyrenees. By the very end of the 19th century, the street grids we know today were intact. At the same time, transit was really being developed in the area. 1895 having the streetcar yard at Queen being built. This, arguably, brought the greatest change to the area. Prior to this, Roncesvalles, as was Parkdale, was viewed to a large extent as distant from Toronto. People actually had cottages in the area. With the introduction of the streetcar routes, Roncesvalles really became part of the city. By 1912, the Sunnyside Railway Station opened at Queen and Roncesvalles, and shortly following this, the Sunnyside Beach and Amusement Park. The secluded area named after a Spanish battle was now smack dab in the thick of things, and prospering. The vast majority of things in Roncesvalles were built in the 1910s, with houses catering to the middle class, Parkdale, of course, being the posh area just south. But this, and the brand new construction of a Carnegie Library, impressive churches, and the new St. Joseph's Hospital led to the building of more upscale homes in the area shortly later. Roncesvalles, by this time, was a successful neighborhood with all the amenities a person could need. The Revue Theatre at 400 Roncesvalles Avenue is one of the oldest remaining cinemas in Toronto. It and the Fox Theatre in the East End both opened between 1912 and 1914 and still play movies to this day. The marquee of the Revue has, though, changed. Many of the older and elaborate marquees being costly over the years to maintain. Another example just south down the road was the old Brighton Theatre at 127 Roncesvalles, which is now a convenience store. The foot of Roncesvalles at Queen became a commercial hub during the early part of the 20th century, a transportation hub with both train and streetcars, and close to the booming Sunnyside entertainment area. But this would not last. By the mid-1950s, the Gardiner Expressway came along. The Sunnyside area destroyed. And with that, the commercial prosperity of the area. The wealthier residents moved away, and many of the houses were split into apartments, a fate paralleling that of Parkdale at the time. But with the construction of the St. Casimir's Catholic Parish in the mid-50s, brought the vibrant new Polish community. This would mark the beginning of Roncesvalles being known as the Polish area of town, still to this day celebrating the Roncesvalles Polish Festival, the largest Polish festival in North America, garnering crowds in the hundreds of thousands in the early fall. Today, the vibrancy of the Polish community, though, is waning. The gentrification of the area this past few years is noticeable. But as you walk down the street now, you still see significant reminders that the area truly still is part of the Polish community in Toronto. The area is actually in many ways quite unique, still to this day. This goes back to my earlier comment about feeling like its own village. As Councillor Gord Perks has put it, Roncesvalles is uniquely designed. Low-level shops on the east side of it, and predominantly residential on the west. According to Perks, this has allowed for the community to still flourish with smaller corner grocers and local shops, to an extent not normally seen in the city anymore. So, from cottages and farmland, to prosperity and grandiose homes, to a bustling new immigrant population, to dog stores and flower shops, Roncesvalles truly is a unique part of Toronto's West End. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any suggestions for me about topics or neighborhoods you want me to look into, please leave them in the comment section below. I also have a new channel called Old Canada Series where I'm releasing things about Canada, not just Toronto. So make sure to check out Old Canada Series, subscribe to this, like it, hit that little bell thing, and tell all your friends. Yeah, even family members, even if you don't like them.